Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 2336A, and today's date is November 23rd, 2020, and the title of the episode is Central Bank Deep State Move Forward with Their Reset, Trump Counters with an Executive Order. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, the deep state, the corrupt politicians, the central bankers, the mainstream media, they've been preparing, they've been laying the groundwork for the reset. And we know this. This has nothing to do with COVID-19. It has nothing to do with what's happening right now. They're just using this to push their agenda forward. We know that they've been planning for this for a very long time. And this is really not a reset of the system. This is about moving us from their old antiquated system, which is imploding right now, into their new system. And it just doesn't have to do with economics. It has to do with many other things. And we can see with the pandemic, with everything else, they've been laying their groundwork, getting the people used to what is coming. This is what this is all about. And we can see that they believe they have the upper hand. They believe that Biden is going to be put into power. He's going to bring in the people that he needs. We're already starting to see that. He's already picked former Fed chairwoman Janet Yellen. He's going to be placing her as the new Treasury Secretary. This is what he has planned. Doesn't mean this is happening. This is what they're planning to do. What is she going to do? She's going to undo everything that Trump did within the Treasury with the Federal Reserve. That will be her job. She's going to be placed in there to put everything back to the way it was and to allow for this movement into the reset. The thing that the central bankers, the elite, this is what they're planning. Now, is this going to benefit the people? No. Remember, their entire mission was always to have a centralized currency, a centralized government, not to have individual nations. Economically, they believe if they can control the entire world and they can control the people through electronic currency, which they can control. This is not cryptocurrency like Bitcoin. This is a centralized currency. Yes, it might be a centralized digital currency on the blockchain, but they would control it. They believe if they can do this, they can control the rest of the world, which most likely they can. And they've been trying to do this for a very long time. And we can see with what has been happening with the pandemic, it has taken its toll around the world. Now, this was on purpose. Remember, they really wanted a war. Trump robbed them of the war. So they had to accelerate their plans. This is what we see happening right now. They don't have a cover-up where they can say, well, after the war, we eliminated the population, which was great. I mean, they're not going to come out and say this, but this is their plan. If they had a war, to bring the population down, there'd be destruction everywhere. They can make the case, let's have the reset. Trump, the Patriots, robbed them of this. So they had to use the pandemic because the clock was ticking down. They were running out of time. They knew if Trump won, which he's going to win once all the election fraud comes out, once they see that Biden cheated with the help of many others, they knew that they were going to have to accelerate their plan. Because Trump, he's preparing to block everything they're trying to do. This is going to be a disaster for them. But if you look at what they've been doing with the pandemic, with everything in the past, you can see around the world, it is definitely taking its toll. If you look at the economy, with March alone, food banks gave out 20% more food than an average month. When you look at this, between 71 and 100 million people will fall into extreme poverty because of the pandemic. The World Bank is reporting this. 86 million children may fall into poverty. This is worldwide. The pandemic was used to bring the people to their knees. So there was no way out of what they're trying to do except to accept what they want to do. And we can see that this has been their plan all along. They're not starting the reset because of the pandemic. Their reset plans have always been there. They just keep switching out what crisis they're going to use to bring this into the light. Now, we know that Trump, he's not going to allow this to happen. They've already seen this. They've already known their plans. Why do you think he has removed the United States from the Paris Climate Accord? Why do you think he's removed us from the World Health Organization? What's very interesting about all of this is every time they had some type of crisis, he made a move to remove the United States from those organizations. Right now, the World Trade Organization is on deck. He's already mentioned this. But what's very interesting is that Trump, his administration, they're proposing a retaliatory pact for countries facing economic pressure from China. And they're looking at broader import controls on Chinese companies. And China right now is trying to beat countries into submission by economic coercion. Remember, China is the model for the rest of the world. This is what these deep state central bankers are doing right now. Trump, he's looking to block all this. Now, what's very interesting is he set up an executive order on November 12th, 2020. And this is addressing the threat from securities investments that finance Communist China's military companies. And this is Section 1A. The following actions are prohibited. Beginning 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on January 11, 2021, any transaction in publicly traded securities or any securities that are a derivative of or are designed to provide investment exposure to such securities of any Communist China's military company as defined in Section 4AI of this order by any United States person and beginning 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on the date that is 60 days after a person is determined to be a Communist Chinese military company pursuant to Section 4AI2, I3 of this order, any transaction in publicly traded securities or any securities that are a derivative of or are designed to provide investment exposure to such securities of that person by any United States person. And this continues on, but let me go to the bottom, Section 3. The Secretary of Treasury, after consultation with the Secretary of State, the Secretary of Defense, the Director of National Intelligence, and the heads of other executive departments and agencies, as deemed appropriate by the Secretary of Treasury, is hereby authorized to take such actions, including the promulgation of rules and regulations, and to employ all powers granted to the President by IEEPA to carry out the purposes of this order. The Secretary of Treasury may, consistent with applicable law, relegate any of these functions within the Department of Treasury. All agencies shall take appropriate measures within their authority to carry out the provision of this order. So they're looking to go after these individuals. Remember, China is the model for their entire reset. China right now is pushing to get Biden into position. Trump knows this. He's countering what they're trying to do, and he's going to be blocking their investments. This starts 2021. Does he think he's going to be reelected? Of course he does. We're at a crossroads right now, and we can see that the invisible enemy that's been hiding in the shadows is now moving into the light, letting the world know what their plan is. It's their reset. Of course, they're blaming it on COVID, which this has nothing to do with. We can see that Trump made them accelerate their plan because he robbed them of everything they wanted to do. It would have been a lot easier to explain to the remaining people of the world after the war that this is what we have to do to rebuild. To make the case now and tell everyone that this is the time, people are scratching their heads. Why is this the time? Because why do we have to switch into this new system? Why do we have to change what we have today? Because of COVID? COVID didn't do any of this. It was the dictators that locked everything down, made it so people couldn't work, Actually, they lied to us. They created this. And people are starting to notice, not just here in the United States, they're starting to notice this around the world. People in Italy, Germany, France, the UK, they're all starting to see this, that there is something wrong. This doesn't make sense. And people are becoming angry. People are starting to fight back. And this is why the deep state, the central bank, had to move forward with their plan. Because what they saw was a people not going along with what they want to do. Actually, this is the worst scenario for these individuals, because this is going to be a hard sell for the people. Because if you look around the globe, protests have begun. People don't like this new world. People don't like just receiving a check and being told not to do something. People do not like being isolated. People want to earn a living. They want freedom. They don't want to be just handed money and are then told what to do. And if you don't do what we say to do, you're not going to get your money. They've tried to convince the people over the many years by using entitlement programs, by pushing austerity on all these different countries, making them dependent on government. But this all didn't work. Has it worked in the past? It's not going to work now. And people are waking up to all of this. Trump will be countering a lot more of what they're trying to do. He's reversed a lot of the things that they wanted. And remember, their end game is to control everything with non-elected leaders. Control the economy. Control how much you make. Control who can work and who will not be able to work. Control who can travel and who won't travel. And there's a lot more if you look at their agenda. That is just the beginning. This is what they're trying to do. And the patriots are fighting back. The patriots, they are fighting to keep our way of life, which is freedom, which is the ability to make a living on your own terms, the ability to go wherever you want on your own terms, the ability to not have a non-elected leader tell us what we can and cannot do. And people are waking up to this fact. Trump and the patriots, they're ready to counter it all. But first, the people must see it. The people must demand change. The people must say no more. I can't survive in this world. I need to make a living. And this is what we see happening right now. Even though the deep state, the central bankers, they're still trying to make their move, it will not work. They can push, but the people, they're going to push back. The people are going to push back even harder. And this is where they run into problems. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.